So welcome to the Altura podcast. Hi, everybody. I'm Adrian Huerta, one piece of Altura. Here with Nalani.
Hi, Nalani.
Another piece of Altura. Hola. Hi. And we have guests. We have two very special guests.
Hey.
Can y'all introduce yourselves?
My name's Andrea. Hi.
Javier H. Ruiz. What's up?
Curators of Por la Sombrita.
Yeah.
Quietly into the shade.
Oh, man.
Quietly.
Dude, I mean, it's an amazing show. It's a beautiful show.
Yeah.
The artists that you picked, phenomenal. The pieces that they brought, phenomenal. It worked out perfectly. You know, it was just beautiful. So congratulations to you two.
Thank you.
Thank you for trusting us at Altura with installation and promotion and all that other stuff.
Of course.
Yeah, man, fits the space perfectly.
I know.
It's
I'm
great.
so glad that worked out.
From the beginning, I had a feeling. I was like, we're going to bring little heaters here. Like, I hope everyone's ready. Because I knew it. I felt like I knew it from, like, when we even started talking about the
artists,
show.
maybe?
Like, literally the first day, we're like, dude,
yeah,
this is going to be
that's
dope.
right.
Like, we could already see it.
You don't have any recordings of that moment?
I think I do.
You do.
I think I do.
we taped ourselves while having the idea.
You're during your epiphany?
Yeah, to create the show.
We were on the couch in the studio, just like,
hanging out.
Chilling,
Nice little session.
So, I mean, how does this come about? I mean, does the name come through? Does the idea come through? Does the space come through first? What is the origination of this?
Dude, I know exactly.
I think it just comes
where
through
begins.
by thought. I don't know. And then
no, but like how we
both
got
of our
to
thoughts
do this
aligned
all together.
For
sure. I think I got the little story for that. I was at the show Ruiz 2, I believe, out in the desert.
Palm Springs.
And, in Palm Springs, Palm Desert.
Palm Desert.
And my piece was right next to Eduardo's, basically. And we were just like chatting.
Eduardo Gomez. Another piece of Altura.
Yeah, shout out to Eduardo. And we were just talking about our work, and he was just like, hey, if you want to curate a show sometime, just like hit me up, blah, blah, blah. Like, Altura's there, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. And then I think that week I went into the studio.
I think it was before that. We talked about it before, then you went, and then you said, hey, somebody told me they got a space. Like usual hobby, like fingers flicking in the air.
I was like, what's up, you ready?
Yeah.
So then Eduardo told me about it, and then I went to the studio, told Andrea, like, yo, you want to do this?
I was like, let's do it.
I think it'll be dope if we collab. Like, we're sharing the studio, like, we're painting next to each other. Like, I think it'll be dope to actually do, like, an official project together, And then, and then from there, it was just a matter of just like, okay, let's just brainstorm, meet up and like actually put some thought into it. And, and it all started kind of like, clicking together, which is really cool. And dude, the space, you guys, like, I feel like everything just like complemented each other like so well,
Which is like, it's supposed to happen, like everything kind of worked out in its weird, nice little way,
Well, from the beginning, I feel like we all had like really good intentions, Eduardo, like myself, Andrea, like, and then we all met up here, and it was just like, okay, yeah, we could do this in like a month and a half, like no problem, like
month and a half or this many months, you're like a month and a half.
Yeah, the challenge, just go for the challenge.
Yeah, that was fun.
Was this your first time curating?
I would say like this, yeah, for sure.
Like an official show together, group show with the gallery, for sure. Because I've done like a few pop-ups before. I used to live in Echo Park for a little bit, and it was just like one-day pop-ups, kind of like for the party, for the vibes, for the art,
Yeah.
And then I have curated some murals. So it was, some of the experience curating comes from just being outdoors and putting projects together with different artists. And different places.
For me, I feel like I've kind of done it once before in the backyard of my mom's place, or the place she was renting. She had like a back house, and the front house had a big backyard, and they let us borrow it. So I had with a friend to do something like that, a pop-up. So we were selling clothes, we had performers, I was showing my work. So we kind of like did something like that in the past. So I would say like up to that point I have experience, but like he was saying, like something like this definitely was a little bit different, and it felt like more not established, but more like structure to forming a show like this.
More intentional, I feel
intentional,
like. It's more like, okay, we really want to, pay attention to as many details as possible and just have the intention. And I think it was like, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Back out on that one.
No, we'll continue on. It's fine. I mean, these artists that you have, it's a very eclectic. It's a very eclectic group, but it does feel like it comes together. Like it feels cohesive. If for anybody that hasn't come to this show, can you walk us through the room a little bit?
So then you make a right, then you make a left, then you make another right, and then you're at the gallery.
Pass through dumpsters. And then
Dude, I love the location. I feel like I've been getting a lot of compliments
like
on like the location itself. Like, yo, that's such a cool gallery. It's like in the cut, and it's super chill, and it's in the neighborhood, and you know. But yeah, the show. You want to walk them through the show?
For like each piece, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, like an experience for people that haven't come here or have come here.
So pretty much when you first enter the room, I feel like that one's a really strong one. A lot of people also told me that too. They were like, wow, like all these pieces are so beautiful. And so definitely multimedia going on in that room. So the very first piece you see right when you're walking into the room is Evelyn's, and it's a photographic piece with like a custom built frame that she did herself. Everything from scratch, even the pedestal and the music that she like created for the little recorder that she has that goes with the piece. She helped make in collaboration with a friend of hers. And then if you look to your left, you see Brenda's piece. So that piece is really super dope too, because so
That's
beautiful.
my favorite piece.
The palette with the like to use a palette in a different way and to create art with it is so beautiful, and especially if like these images that you're kind of used to in these areas in which you grew up in LA, which is a lot like deep rooted in like Latino culture and whatnot. And then the video mixed with it too. So that's what makes it even more like a very interactive piece for the viewer. And you're just kind of like immersed in like what's going on, what's happening, and like a bunch of information just shooting at you. But it's done so well. Like
I love how that piece has no sound. Like I feel like it doesn't need the sound. You know, it has the video, it has the painting, but I feel like it doesn't need the sound because the sound is the environment, the surrounding area. You know, and it really does feel like you're standing in front of a store and you're looking through the window and they have a TV playing, you know, and it's like it's almost you can imagine you could hear the street sound or you could hear people walking by, and it's like that piece is beautiful. I really loved it too. And when I first saw her work online with Instagram, a lot of these people I saw first kind of like through Instagram, I just saw it. And sometimes like also, I notice on Instagram, certain artists don't really like to show their work too much, you know, because you have like that phase of being an artist where you're just like really introverted and you're like, oh, no one's going to like it. Like, what's the point? Blah, blah. All these people are so much cooler. At least that's how I thought when I went through it, because I like slowly came out of that. Still kind of get into it, but whatever. And she didn't really show too much, just like clips of videos, but even her videos that she put on her page was like, so like, wow, I haven't really seen any of this, but there's still a connection. Like I see a connection within me in that work or like the idea. And so I just kept like looking at her stuff, and then she slowly like posted that piece, and I was like, wow, it's so cool. Like, wow, you're so talented. And then besides that, and then if you turn, that's the left side, and then if you turn to the right, if you want to turn all the way to the right where you entered by where the doors, there's this Monica's piece, and that one's very beautiful, and it's like set again on a pedestal, and there's like a glass so you could see the back, or a mirror that so you could see the back. The glass was such a good move. I love how people were taking like selfies with it, and then you could see
the whole thing,
the sculpture in the round.
Exactly, sculpture in the round. Wow, vocab.
Art turn.
Exactly. But yeah, that piece is very beautiful, and it's soft sculpture mixed with ceramic, so it's like that hard and the soft element. It just makes it really, really like, and then there's a childlike characteristic of like the way she makes the ceramic pieces and even the soft sculpture pieces and the colors, and that's just like so
that piece is like connected to the universe, and I feel like you
so many things
all of that
in it. And then if you kind of like going towards the hallway, you also see that piece on the right side, which is the diptych piece, which is Axel's pieces, and those pieces are like amazing, like crazy, just the skill level, and like it's so chaotic like in brushwork, but it reads so well, like so much information in there, you know,
it's like the color isolation, like you could kind of like isolate each color, and but then it makes one image, and oh man, there's so much to it.
It's beautiful. And then also he has like a description on there that kind of gives you further information on what the pieces are about. And so it's a diptych, so it's like 2 images of the same thing. And in the bottom, I believe it's kind of like an aerial shot of like buildings, right? It's like in a city, like that kind of
city.
I think it's like
plans.
geographic
Yeah.
elevation levels, right?
Yeah, stuff like that. And basically that piece is mainly about like abandoned buildings. So he's been in the graffiti scene since, in his bio you read, 1999. So he's been around for a minute. And so like I guess he kind of created those pieces to have like that connection with like what he does and what he loves to do, or where he came from in his process, you know.
Having that artist in the lineup was just like,
it happened,
because
and I'm so glad it
that's
did.
an artist that I've seen
Me
since
too.
like high school. Andrea
Yeah, when
also
I was
has seen
young,
you know, for a long time.
Before I started painting, I saw his stuff and I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
love it. And then like to be able to like actually like communicate with him about the show and like what to do and like what to expect or whatever, you know, all that stuff.
And then just like all the coincidences that come with that too. So like they teach drawing and painting online, and one of their students is in Colombia, in my hometown, who is my friend. So it's like, yo, yeah, my friend is Felipe, and like shout out to Roots. And then he's been your student, and we're now all homies, and we're on the same show. So that was really cool. Like we didn't really tell anybody about the lineup or anything until the flyer was released. So I already knew that as soon as that flyer was going to come out, I was going to get the message from my friends in Colombia. And sure enough, they were just like, dude, no way. What?
Yeah.
The show? Like, so
I
cool.
know. I was like so crazy. I'm like, oh shoot, he left me a voice message. How does he sound? Like I was like, that's so cool.
Both of us.
Yeah. And then going down the hallway, so as we continue, going down the hallway, the first piece you see is Eduardo Soto, our homie. Actually,
Shout out to the homie. He's graphic designer.
Graphic design.
Did amazing work with the flyer.
Yeah, he helped do the flyer and all that stuff. But super, and then also the shirt design too. We went over with him
all the design,
too. Fuck, I forgot. Sorry.
It's a podcast. Okay. You can say whatever you want.
And then that piece is really beautiful. I think he took an inscription for one of his favorite books and put it on top of the skull of the face. So it's like the compare and contrast of certain phrases and stuff. And
I
then
love the teeth in that piece.
The teeth,
oh
and he like kind of went out of his comfort zone too. So I feel like maybe a little bit like he hasn't really, this is his first like work. I feel like that like he really had a lot of thought when he was making it too. Like I'm not saying he didn't before, but he told us like he felt like so
for this one, for sure.
a lot of intention within himself like for this piece.
I feel like a few artists of this show, and I think that's what was like really cool, that a few of these artists, they were very intentional about making something specifically for this show.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you guys are curating it and the show is when and it's at this place, like, okay, I'm gonna do something like specific for that. So a lot of those pieces are from this year. So literally they
a lot
all
of these
painted
are new.
like January, February, everyone was just like going like all in, you know, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, and then the color scheme is so vibrant and beautiful, and like he's airbrush mixed with acrylic paint, and he just did a really good job. And then also like the stretcher bars are rounded, like he wanted to kind of not do like the classic square, because it's nice because Evelyn's is very rounded too, and then his is rounded, so like if you first enter the gallery you see hers and then you see his, like it mimics that, and you kind of get fed into like the hallway, which I kind of like. And we were being very intentional when we had the piece.
No, and like a lot of the work ended up being like in conversation with each other, but like a lot of these artists don't even like they
didn't
just
really
met.
know.
Like they were just like, oh, you know, I've never known their work, or like my first time showing with them, and nobody knew what each other was doing. So it was kind of like, and I think that's what was cool, because at first we were like, oh, like, you know, should we tell them more or less like what we want, or should we just kind of leave it up to them, or you know? And I feel like definitely leaving it up to the artists, but telling them like, oh, maybe like a small piece from you, or like a medium size, or like, hey, you have this specific spot, like whatever you want to do with it. And I feel like each piece like somehow ended up like really talking to each other.
Yeah. And then the next one after Eduardo's is Pamela, and she does a lot of like different types of medium too. So she does photography. She kind of incorporates like found objects with her photography as well. And I just really kind of like the piece though too, because it's just easy. It's like a t-shirt that says easy on like a really like cute embellished like hanger, you know, with a bow, you know. It's like, what kind of commentary is she trying to say, or what kind of commentary is it like to create art and shit?
It's
and,
so
like,
dope that it ended up being basically in the middle of the show, and like between all the like the front, the hallway, and then the back. And I feel like it just like breaks everything up, and it really does create an easy environment in like all the best ways, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then also the way the easy is spelled on the shit, like,
it's a nice font.
Easy. And then the next one is Natalie's, and I've known her for a minute. Actually, the backyard thing that I was telling you about, she was one of the people in the pop-up in the back of our house, and I met her and her boyfriend at the time. And she was selling some drawings, and he was selling some drawings / paintings. But I've known her since for a minute from a mutual friend. But her work is really beautiful, like really like gray or blue, or like it has like this feeling of like dreamlike a little bit. Very too dreamy. Very dreamy.
I love how the light hits that piece,
because she also like used a different type of paint, which was like kind of like a silvery paint. So like if you move the painting itself, like you see like that reflection of light hitting the piece, you know. It's a very beautiful piece, and a different way of like kind of playing with the medium and like having it be immersive in that sense, I guess. But and then after hers is Masie's, and that's Javi's classmate from the past.
Shout out to Long Beach.
And and she's freaking amazing too. Like I immediately thought of her too. Like we thought of her too as well, because of the way she just handles textiles and sews, and the type of practice she uses and where it comes from and all that. And
it's painting too.
It's like painting
such
too.
a different way to paint.
Yeah.
And the lineage that she has of, you know, her grandmother quilting, and just like the practice, how she takes canvas, paints it, rips it, then puts it back together, and it's just like everything's super intentional and balanced, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and I really like, I don't know, it's like when you look at the piece, I feel like the amount of excruciating pain your fingers must have felt making this, you know, but you feel the love too in it too, hence like her last name Love. Not intentional, but I feel it, you know, which is super dope. And then the next one, once you that's the last piece in the hallway, and then you take a left and you enter like the back part of the studio,
which is a whole nother world,
and a whole different world from the front. I feel like
world.
Same type of mediums, but a whole different world, but also kind of related people when you think about it, because Axel and Maverick and Stoma, they're all part of associated together. So that also was kind of cool to like be able to have two painters in the show, and then bring forth another person within them as well, as called Stoma Collective. So that's the first video you see on the left side if you enter, and it's on a little TV, and that video is just like so cool.
Shout out, that TV, perfect, dude.
Yeah,
we were kind of like, we were nervous about that. We're like, where are we gonna get a TV? How are we gonna install it?
We should ask them.
Yeah, that TV has never been used.
Came through,
it's just been there. It's been waiting for y'all to show up for about 2 years. So here you are. Funny.
Super cool.
Yeah. That piece is beautiful.
Dude, the video.
You so many people. The video.
I've been getting so many comments for that video, which is super cool. Like I've gotten messages of people saying like, dude, I'm still thinking about that video, and it's been days.
Yeah,
you know?
That's amazing.
And I feel like definitely would want to read like their description, but it's really cool how they all came together. They filmed in Mexico, where one of the members is from, and they drove around for 6 hours. You know, different people with cameras, getting different like reactions from the crowd. And what they did is that they hired someone. The piece is called Perifoneo. Right, so it's someone that usually shouts out advertisement from their car, you know, and you know whatever advertisement. But they wrote a script, and you know it was just like a whole thing.
It was a whole really thing, cool. And a lot of the things that they were saying were like absurd, weird things that like are somewhat can be fictional, somewhat can be like premonitions, or somewhat can be like comical commentary. A lot of like random.
Definitely has a lot. And in the end, kind of like in the video, they talk about like that. The getting numb on social media when it comes to serious topics, that like the next video is like learn how to
bake this cake and with only 3 ingredients or some stuff like
and then
that.
Right
you know,
after that,
like,
it's like bombs dropping on like something. Which
yeah,
is like
so it's like
intense.
kind of crazy. Just like take on like definitely like comments on like society. You
The
know, and
chaos
how
within
chaos,
society,
all
really.
that stuff. Yeah, so that piece is really really beautiful too, and I'm really glad that we were able to work it out with that too. Because at first we weren't so sure what was going to be on the video, and then we ended up loving what was on the video. So it's like
no,
okay,
and then
well.
too just like the installation of it, because they were, they suggested to us like, hey, if the sound could just be playing into the gallery,
that
that'd be
too.
best. And then we were like, oh man, I don't know how we're gonna make that happen.
First
And
day.
then there's pieces around and then everything. But dude, it worked out so well, and it was so cool to see people like gathered around the TV,
Huddled, yeah.
kind of like listening to that piece, during the show. And there's all this chaos going on around them, and then there's chaos on the video. Like, dude, it's
It is
such a
really
good piece.
cool.
I love that.
Yeah. And then also after that piece is Maverick, which his piece is absolutely beautiful. He's a part of that
Mavericks.
Stoma group who did the video, and also is a friend of Axel's, whose piece is in the front. But his piece is very, very beautiful, and it's basically an image of his sister in her room putting on makeup.
It's a whole family effort, that piece.
Yeah, his dad made the frame too, and like all these little elements,
That one's my favorite.
I love that
one
piece.
speaks the most to me.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, I just love it more and more. And
Like
I love
even the effect.
I love this distance for it, because I
Yeah.
feel like the more you step back, the more detailed it gets, and you just like really see everything. And
Yeah.
Like you really feel like, oh, like I can picture that. Like I could picture that scene, and I feel like I've seen stuff like that. Especially like if you were like grew up more like with sisters, or if you're female yourself, like wow, like definitely it echoes a part of like something nostalgic to you,
Even for me, like as a photographer, it emphasizes, or it's kind of exploring the idea of voyeurism, but again, thinking as a female, like it's a very peaceful, like she doesn't feel threatened, and it's a very sacred act. And so that the way, the angle he chose to paint it, and maybe it's based on a photograph that he took, or you can tell that whoever's seeing this is someone who is trusted, and is allowed to come into this sacred space. And I love the energy that does radiate from the painting itself, and I just mean the actual paint. There's like a lot of light and energy that's radiating from the painting, and it looks like, again, I'm coming from a photographer's eye. I don't know if when he took the picture there was a flash, because it looks like there's CDs on the wall.
Yeah, I love
That-
and then
part.
there's
that
like
effect.
That's like
that
one of my
reflection,
favorite
like
Yeah.
parts of
the
piece.
flash.
It really whacks you in the face, just as the same as like what's happening. It's like mimicking like that energy,
Definitely. And I think you were the one that pointed out during install, Andrea, like the fact that there's a lot going on
Yeah.
in this painting, even from a technical standpoint, but it's a still life of her makeup, vanity, and there's a lot going on, but it's also so peaceful.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. Well, there's a inscription on there too, like description. I mean, on there too, and I think he also was talking about how like she's growing up in that age of like showing like videos and like get ready with me videos and stuff like that. So like people nowadays is like trying to post videos on like the perfection of things, and that's her before creating that act too. So it's like a vulnerable state, like you were saying. It's like doing it before, putting a front of something, I don't want to necessarily use that word, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
No, and the fact that the photo, or like that moment, was captured like just in the moment. It doesn't look like she was posing for it or anything.
No,
It was just
yeah.
kind of like he walked into the room, noticed that composition, and was
Real
just like,
life.
okay, I'm gonna snap this, and
Yeah.
it's just like became an amazing painting.
Definitely like a real life perspective, like
Yeah.
illustrated scene or whatever. But everybody really vibed with that piece too. Maverick is up and coming, and like he's crazy. Like he's already, I don't know, like 25, 26 or
Something like that. Definitely a young painter.
And he's already doing so many things like with his work
Super cool.
and stuff. And so glad he agreed to be in the show too.
Yeah, shout out
He's
Maverick.
so like super humble too, so super dope. But after Mavericks is Ruben.
Yeah.
Ruben's the
Ending
homie
the show
too.
with
Ending
the
the
bang,
show,
dude.
super
Oh my
amazing.
gosh,
His stuff
Ruben's
is
piece, man.
he's a like just wild life in general, and then like his piece is like shows
it's like
that
wild
reflection.
under control though. I've never
Yeah.
seen someone more calm while they're just like immersing themselves in chaos, which is so fucking cool and inspiring
siren in
to
the
see.
back.
That was a dope little effect in there.
Yeah.
Dude, his piece, again, like every piece ended up having like a conversation. So basically, Ruben's piece ended up being what would be in someone's room, right? So
Yeah.
like you see her doing her makeup with all her things around there. Like Ruben's piece is all those things coming like out of the room into the gallery, right? So
Yeah.
he collaged memories and
Yeah.
just things that he's collected all his life, things that like
Sacred
you
to
really,
him.
sacred
Yeah.
that you really like hold on. And you're like, man, I can never get rid of this, you know. But then he put it into his piece, and it's like, you know what? It's gonna be immortalized into this piece, you know. If it leaves me, it's gonna leave altogether, and it's like a piece of me, you know. So
It's like I had my time with it. Let someone else have their time with it.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I love that piece. I love how interactive it is, you know, like
True, yeah.
the little piano.
The piano
like,
you can
oh,
play.
That's so cool. The cigarette. There was a full box of cigarettes.
They're
there,
gone.
You know? By the end of the show, they were gone. I think he took the last one, which is really cool.
Which is perfect.
Some papers. In
So
there, you know,
poetic.
if you need to.
Well, I think there's one upstairs.
Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
think there's
there
one
you
more
go.
left.
Damn, sign
You
it.
gotta frame that. Frame
I'm
it.
gonna keep it. That's mine.
Yeah. But also just like I love that. Like it's like these little artifacts like he found and discovered, and like also images of his friends who are very, very precious to him, and like all those interactions and those moments, and also the videos that he made with them. It's just like crazy too. It's a lot of the like scenes, underground scenes, and like music and people, and just trying to express themselves and just feel the way they want to feel when, you know, creating and stuff too. And I don't know, I think it's really beautiful.
And the space where it was made, you know, shout out Tlaloc Studios. It was really cool. I got to walk in there a couple times when he was working on the piece, and it was just super cool to see all the chaos, like all the things and paper all over the floor,
His
and
friends.
the glue, and his friends are helping, and it was just like, wow, dude, it was such a cool scene.
So that's the little TV, but there's also another TV that's above it. Both has sound, I believe, but
Yeah.
the other one you can put earphones on and listen to, and that's also like a bunch of different videos all clipped together and kind of distorted and like interwoven together and stuff. He did a section on recordings of like the swap meet, right? Videos,
Yeah,
and
I
then
think the
also
piece
audio.
started with like inspiration from like swap meet sounds. So things he like, you know, would hear on the swap meet, and then just all the footage he's collected. Honestly, like one of my favorite photographers out there, just because
Yeah.
it's so like
Raw.
street and so raw, and it's just like somehow he's always at the right time,
Yeah.
there at the right time, and always like shooting right when he feels like that he needs to, and just captures the most like natural, just like loving
it's like
moments. You know?
super real. You know, it's not a performative. Well, like it's funny because they are performing, but like in a real sense, like these are real people, like having real things in their life, doing real shit. You know, like, and like that's how he is though too. Like
Real
his,
shit, baby.
you know, he's always down for shit too. He's always a happy guy too, and you know. It's just amazing that he also agreed to do the show, but like also a big fan of him as a person.
And he went all out. I feel
He
like this is the
did.
first time that he creates a piece like this. You know, usually he has his video or he has a photography. You know, he has a long line of like zine work. But I think this is like one of the first that I've seen for sure, like sculpture pieces where he just like brings everything together, and it's so much, but at the same time everything just complements and works so well together. You know.
Yeah. And then the image that's next to the
and then
TV.
there's a image of that piece over the freeway. It's pretty cool.
What's it, like a lyric, or what is it?
Something about the weekend.
Yeah, look
I
out
think it's
weekends, because here we come.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's go.
Look out weekends, cause
Yeah. It's beautiful.
80s baby.
Resonate. I love it.
And the next to that is the merch table. We got merch, hot deals.
Yeah, that merch
Yo,
table.
DM us if you're trying to buy stuff.
Yeah, they're cheap.
Available at Altura.
So I have a question for both of you. It sounds like a lot of these artists are people that you have respected or admired for a while, but didn't have like a personal connection yet. So what was that experience like for you reaching out, or how did you think about putting this group together?
Ooh. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can start. I feel like as soon as we both agreed, like, okay, let's do this, we're going to curate a show, like, we got right to it, and we're like, okay, but what artists, you know?
Yeah.
And we both kind of, like, went through, like, our social media, because that's the easiest way to, like, see the person and then see their work, you know? And I thought it was pretty cool, because it was just, like, you know, one of us will say an artist, but it's like we were already both thinking it. You know what I mean? So
that was...
you know, I brought up Masie, but then Andrea was like, dude, yeah, Masie, I was definitely thinking that, you know, like Maverick, oh, dude, for sure, you know, so a lot of Ruben, like, let's go, you know, and then it was cool, because then it was kind of like, as the show started, like, forming, then, you know, we started to solidify the lineup, and it was like, you know, getting, like, these surprise artists that we didn't even think would end up in the show, and I feel like, you know, these artists, like, we didn't want to give them too many, like, restrictions or, like, anything like that. But I feel like everyone just kind of, like, you know, experimented in a really cool way, and I don't know, it just all worked out.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Exactly, like, in a way, though, too, at the same time, for me, I'm like, I somewhat a little intentional, but at the same time not, because I don't even know how the work's going to come out, you know? Like, it just kind of... It's the wave, man. Like,
intuition,
everybody
for sure.
just hit it,
I think we kind of had, like, just the good intuition about it. And I think it was just, like, coming from, like, you know... especially those days, like, we were both like in the studio a lot, and it was just like we were just deep into our own work, and it was like, oh man, we need to take a break from this, like, we need, like, to look at something different, and we just want to have a different experience, you know, because we also talked about, like, you know, it came up like, oh, should we have work in there? Nah, do you know what, let's make this about the artist, but also, like, bringing these artists together and putting this show together, like, that's our art piece, you know what I mean? Like, we wanted to, like, really think about all the details and how we can make this experience. And for me, like, I don't know, it's kind of silly, I always feel like, yeah, life is a movie, you know what I mean? So it's just like, how can we, like, make this, like, an experience, you know? So, like, leading up to, like, the opening night, it was just like, dude, let's see how, and Andrea was mentioning, like, how, like, the audience, the viewer can interact with this, and then how each artist can interact with each other, type of thing, you know? For
sure, like, having a moment between each piece. Obviously, opening day is a little, like, chaotic because there's a lot of people in the room, but, like, each one gives you a breath of fresh air, and it's obviously, since it's a different medium, you're just like, okay, this painting is very beautiful, wow, okay, let me go to this piece, oh wow, it's a photograph, oh, you can listen to something with it, let me get, like, it's like going into little different worlds. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of crazy at the same time, because, you know, they all have, like, somewhat similar but different backgrounds too, and it just, I'm so glad it just came out the way it did too, you know, like I said, intentional, also not intentional, you know, it's both sides.
Leaving room for this life to take its course, you know?
No, and it took its course. I mean, everything seemed really successful, from all the social media stuff to people showing up and it being a full house for a lot of the time. It was beautiful. It was awesome.
I'm so grateful.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Family came through. Friends came through.
I met your mom.
I know. Yeah,
we danced with your mom.
Yeah, we went to the
after party with the fam.
Love you, mom.
That was great.
Shout out to moms.
Shout out to moms and her friend Estela.
Bestie.
Yeah, bestie. Her and her best friend. Hitting the town like two young ladies. Living life.
Okay, definitely want to hear from you guys though, like, you guys' experience on this. I feel like we're talking a lot.
Oh no! I mean, the platform's for you guys. You know, like, you did exactly what we wanted you to do. You know, some people can't come and see this. Yeah. Some people don't have access to you. So the idea that you get to explain it is great for anybody that can come see the show and listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
But also, this stuff comes down. Eventually. Yeah. So if it comes down
and goes to good homes, hopefully.
Right. And but at least people get to hear from the curators, right? So
support your local artists.
Yeah. Your local curators too.
Supporting an artist supports the gallery.
I think
the
that's
curators.
actually that's an interesting conversation to have, because I think you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but right now I'm just thinking about going quickly through industries. Gallery spaces or art spaces like this, really, this is like an opportunity to share with the audience. Like, when you invest in art, you're not just investing in the artist, you're also like you're also investing in the curator, you're investing in the space, you're investing in the sustainability of a whole tribe of people that are coming together to, you know, they all have their own intentions of why they make this work, why they show this work, why they curate this work. So, you know, I always open it up to the community of like, how can we better support our artists or creatives that are trying to provide space like this?
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly what you said.
Exactly. You said it perfectly. I don't need to do anything.
I agree.
I have a question for both of you. I'm always curious to. I've been sitting in a lot of reflection and meditation about this of Altura and how can we do better and do more for our community. And it's great. Earlier today, someone else was sharing their outsider perspective and like from your experience, Altura, what is how are we being of service to you guys and providing?
You're helping us manifest an idea which is for the community, pretty much. Like, this is what we had as an intention, you know, like we wanted to represent people that we were kind of familiar with, but also felt that they were on that same wavelength too, of just having I don't know how to explain it, but like you guys being able to support us in that way and trusting us definitely helped, you know, like have more confidence within ourselves to see what else we can do and what else we can accomplish. Even for these artists, having to be able to be put in a show means something for the artists too. It's like, okay, like people believe that I have something to say and they asked me to put my work here, so that must mean something, or like, you know, that kind of beautiful conversation, I guess. But at least that's for me. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is a space that is very close to where I grew up, you know, in high school, elementary school and stuff. And I consider this like, you know, super close to home. So the space is something super important, you know, that's kind of where all the ideas come from as well, you know, because like the whole time that we were thinking of the artists and we were thinking about how the show can come together, we were also thinking like, how can it fit within this space, you know, and like, you know, I don't know, the industrial part of it, even the height of the ceiling, the fact that you go through the hallway, like all that I feel like plays a role. And then also it's like such a team effort to put something that's great, you know, whatever it is you do, like it takes a team, you know, like it's not just one artist, it's not just two curators, like it's a whole team. So for me, I was like, oh man, they got a whole team going on over there, they got a little family, you know, like I think if we all link up and we all bring like what we do best and just you know, learn from each other, like something great could come from it, you know.
Yeah, and it did.
Agreed. Such a good show. But thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Oh my God, that was fantastic. It's everything that we needed.
Okay, cool.
So clear up everything.
I did my job.
Right. I mean, unless you want to give out your number and you guys give phone calls.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So they can ask you any questions.
No personal numbers. I'm sorry. It's gonna take a while for me to answer. I'm sorry.
You know,
Yeah.
we'll go from there.
DM, slide in my, or no, wait.
No.
Send me a message if you have a question.
Serious
Email
inquiries
during
only.
business hours. Business hours, 11 to 6.
But yeah, you know, like one last plug, and you know, for everybody listening, is that Altura is artist run, artist built, and community driven. And so, again, if you know, art is not accessible for everyone. So you guys did an amazing job of creating all this incredible merch, and you guys actually printed and did, you know, put in your sweat and you know, tears, everything. So you know, everyone listening, please reach out. You can slide into the Altura DMs and let us know if you want a t-shirt, a poster, a tote.
Medium through 2XL.
Yeah, medium
through 2XL.
And also shout out to Eduardo and the team, Altura team. We created our first, or not our first, but it's been a moment, Altura sweater. So that's available as well. These are all different ways that our community can support us and make sure that we keep the lights on, we keep the shows coming. We are all putting heart, you know, love and sweat and tears and blood and everything in between. So thank you.
Thank you guys. Yo, shout out to the DJs. Killed it that day. The vibes were right. Cream and the Alaya. The homies since day one. Shout out.
The merch.
Shout out to the pizza homies. So a las Fives. Bomb Pizza. Yeah, bartender, everyone.
Fabiola.
Yeah.
Fabi, oh man, she was great that day.
Good,
MVP,
yeah.
she was everywhere.
She was so smiley.
Everywhere I needed her to be. Like,
Yeah.
I got photos with everyone, dude. It was super cool.
She's like, more pictures? You want more? Yes, more
got you, I got
pictures.
No, for real. It takes a tribe to
Yeah.
make this happen.
Yeah.
And so it's great to see it all come together at the end, and then it just flies by.
I know.
Flies
Super
by.
quick.
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
Tune in for episode 2.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Sounding off here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias, todo bien.
Thank you so much for joining us for the Altura podcast. We look forward to opening the mic to our friends and the community here in Nela. If you enjoyed the show, please tap that subscribe and like button. Without your time and support, we wouldn't be here. So please leave comments and slide into the DMs so we can evolve this program for you, our listeners. Feel free to connect with us beyond the pod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Once again, gracias.